Recently, I've been asked how I'm seeing the qualities next to the animals and also next to humanoids. And it really all comes down to this lighting module and using the scan feature. What's up, everybody? My name is Whack, and thank you for joining me for this video. Now, with the lighting module, not only do you get to see the quality of the enemy, whether humanoid or creature, but you also get to see legendary perks on humanoids displayed above their name. This makes hunting down the best tribesmen so much easier. However, this is a very late game quality of life feature. In order to obtain the lighting module, you need to do the Holy Ruins in the Frost Canyon. Now, before you come up here, make sure that you've grabbed the mysterious device from each one of the ancient pyramids that's on the map. That means you have to have defeated each one of the bosses, entered the pyramid, and looted these out of the chests. Now, they are not consumed when you use them in this dungeon, and there's a good reason why they're not. Now, I'm going to take you directly to the two bosses that you need to fight in order to get the lighting module. Keep in mind that if you die in the second fight, you will have a very difficult time getting back to your body. So you want to make sure that you are in the best possible gear. I recommend going into this with the advanced ape armor after you've enhanced legendary steel armor. You're also going to want legendary enhanced weapons for this fight. My last recommendation is that you wear the Torch of Eternity mask, all the way upgraded with the mimicry mode enabled. That way, if you end up getting knocked into a near-death state, you can actually just get back up and resume the fight. Make sure that you bring your best healing items both for instant heals and for overtime heals. And additionally, you're going to want to have corrosion tanks with you, as well as having either hammer or gauntlets ready to go so that you can fight these mechanical enemies. You're also going to want to take some hot chocolate and some chili peppers with you so that you can handle the cold, unless you have a follower that is just cold resistant. I also recommend having cold adaptation on whatever mask you decide to go in here with. And this is the first boss that you're going to need to fight. We need to get through the door that is behind him up the ramp there, and it will not let us pass unless we defeat this guy first. Now, if you're at this point in the gameplay, you've fought a version of this guy before, I feel like this guy is probably faster than a lot of the other ones that you've fought before, especially when it's aiming and shooting at you. I feel like sometimes it'll just pull up that blade and shoot you so fast you don't actually have time to react to that attack. Now, the other mask that would be a good option for this dungeon would be the Explorer mask. That way you can negate the cold that you're going to have in this dungeon. But really, if you're wearing the ape armor, like I said, and you've gone in here with the hot chocolate and the chilies, you shouldn't have much issue. Now, I want you to pay close attention to the damage numbers that are coming up for my character. If your character isn't doing this kind of damage, you might want to wait until you have a character that is doing this much or more damage with a decent amount of health. Now, if you're not sure how to get the Explorer mask, I've got a video right here on my channel that shows you where to get that mask and the module. It's actually in this same dungeon, so you will have to fight the enemy that I'm showing you right now in order to get that mask as well. And this is definitely one of the enemies that I recommend seeing how your damage is against this enemy before moving on to the final boss. We are fighting the central core, and it is going to be right behind this next door. The big thing with fighting the central core is you actually fight it inside a force field that you can't just get out of. So there's no way to run away from this fight once you initiate it. The fight will only end if you defeat the central core or the central core defeats you. So hopefully I've stressed enough how difficult this fight is going to be and how important it is for you to come up here and be prepared. Because if you come up here ill-prepared and you get inside of there and die, you will have a very difficult time retrieving your loot. This is a loot eater. It will take your loot and you will not be able to get it back unless you initiate this fight again. Once you're in here with the 5 mysterious devices in your inventory, you want to run to each one of these pillars and activate it. I highly recommend that you bring a mount that can survive in the cold area, like a snow leopard, and move those mysterious devices into the mount's inventory right after the force field goes up, and leave that mount outside of the force field. That way, if you die, you just have to get back to your mount in order to be able to open this up and get your loot again. Now you have about 60 seconds to get inside of the arena once you activate the last pillar. And if you leave your mount outside, they will not take damage and they'll be ready for the worst case scenario in case you die. Now, there's no way to prep for this boss. It's unique, it's one of a kind, and I'm going to take you through the different mechanics that this boss is going to have. This boss has 2 different styles. It has a blue style and a red style. We are currently fighting against the blue style and we'll fight against the red style a little bit later on. It will switch between these styles during the fight. If you end up on a corner when it stops, it can block you inside of its mesh. So you want to make sure that you stay away from the corners on the floor. This boss does not move around the arena. It stays in that square the entire time. And you'll see I actually end up going down in the feigned death state because it believes I'm inside the mesh. So you want to make sure that you stay away from those corners, especially when it's transforming. Now, when I do finally get back up, it will kick me out of the mesh, but I just want to let you guys know that this does happen, so you need to be very careful about staying outside of that corner. So let's talk about the mechanics of this fight. Obviously, we're spinning around, running away from lasers, and you want to stay away from those corners. It's then going to try to target you with a laser. You want to roll out of the way of that. If it goes up into the air, this is a perfect time to heal as it is stationary. It shoots lasers to the end of the arena and then they come back. Just keep a little bit of distance so your character can fit through those without taking any damage. You can see then it's just wash, rinse, and repeat with these mechanics. I find it very easy to roll straight back to avoid the lasers on the corners and then go in for an attack on the flat edge. When it seals up, you want to step away and see what it's going to do next. Don't get too far away though, because you want to still be able to get in and do damage when you have the chance. I find it much easier to apply damage during this mode. When it's blue, it is much easier to handle than when it's red. So apply as much damage as you can during this section. Once you get to about half health, it is going to change colors from blue to red, and the next part of this fight is going to start. Now you can see how much damage I'm taking in enhanced gear. So if you're not in enhanced gear, you really need to come to this dungeon, get the enhancement table text so that you can build the enhancement table and make these really good armors and weapons. And I've got a video on my channel already uploaded showing you how to do that. I will link it in the description of this video. We are about at the halfway point for health, so it should be changing to the red color any moment. There it is right there. This is all about electricity, so it's gone from the laser beams to electricity. It has multiple electrical strikes that it's going to do. One of them is an area effect that you just saw. It's going to strike the area 3 times. Make sure you roll out of the way of that. It will also pound the ground and send out some electricity from that. You can see that right there. The boxes that are floating around will do damage to you in succession if they hit you. So each one that hits you is going to do about 1,000 damage. So you want to stay away from those. I recommend picking a direction to run and continuing to run that direction. There's only one other type of attack that this enemy has in this mode, and it's going to strike lightning that follows you around trying to hit you. Just continue to run in a circle or strafe in a circle around this boss while that lightning's going. The lightning that's going right now is the lightning I'm talking about, and it is going to strike 6 times. Now, those 6 times can have multiple strikes at the same time, but if you count to 6, you'll know that it's over and a different attack is coming. Now, I do a pretty terrible job in this video of avoiding a lot of that damage, at least early on, but you do need to find times where you can get up and hit it. So make space between yourself and the boxes and understand what attacks are coming when, so that you can get up to the central core and attack it and cause damage. You really want to get this to switch back to the blue enemy. Between the boxes and the lightning that really doesn't give you a whole lot of heads up that it's coming or which style is coming, I find this section to be much more difficult to get in and apply damage. There's just a lot more going on with this mode than when it's in the blue mode. One thing with this fight is that you cannot get greedy. If you get greedy, it's likely you'll end up in a situation where you take a bunch of damage or die. Now it's switching modes from red to blue, and when it does this, it's going to spawn in a couple of enemies. Sometimes both of the enemies are rather close to the central core, sometimes they're rather far away. You want to dispatch the enemies that are attacking you right away. If they're not attacking you, if they're in a corner somewhere, just leave them alone, like the one you can see off in the distance there, and then go back to attacking the central core. It will take a bit of reduced damage at this point in time, but eventually it will open up again for damage, and you just start the process all over again. This is where I try to finish the fight. I try to finish this fight before it goes back to the red mode again, because again, it's easier to fight it in this mode. So I'm gonna go as hard as possible during this part of the fight. That way I can get this fight done before it switches modes a second time. And that really is this fight in a nutshell. You're just going to continue to attack when you have time and get away when you don't have time. Always heal when it's in the air like that, and any other point in time where you feel like you have the amount of time that you need. Stay away from the box in the center of the ring so you don't get stuck in its mesh, because that can really create a problem. Additionally, make sure that you are ready for this fight, because when you die, the force field goes back up and it makes it very difficult to retrieve your loot. Now, the loot that you get after this fight, other than the lighting module, isn't the greatest loot you're ever going to see. However, it is a pretty good loot that drops from the central core. This is the only other boss that I've seen that drops the legendary red crystals. So make sure you look in its loot for that. But as you can see, we've finished the fight and the lighting module is just floating there. Now, I don't know if you are fighting this in a group, if you can get multiple lighting modules, or if you'll have to kill it multiple times for your entire group to get the lighting module. Now, once you've completed this fight, all you need to do is head through the small door in the back of the arena that's going to lead you to a couple of chests, and then a linear path that's going to take you back to the beginning of this dungeon. And I want to know in the comment section below, what game stage are you currently in Soulmask? I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for your continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. Don't forget to whack the like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more content. And if you don't want to be out of whack, there's another video on the screen right now that you can click to support more of my content.